You wouldn't last a day in the Middle Ages. A bedtime journey through the harsh realities of the past. Chapter 1. Welcome to the past. No turning back. You open your eyes to the pale light of dawn. The soft whir of electricity, the hum of your fridge, and the warmth of your bed are gone. Instead, your body aches against a hard straw mattress, and the air smells of smoke, damp wool, and the vague scent of livestock. You're not in your own time anymore. You're in a small wooden cottage in rural England, year 1324. Give or take, the first thing you notice is the cold. It's not just chilly, it's the kind of penetrating, bone-deep cold that makes your fingers stiff and your breath fog in the air. There's no central heating, no thermostat to turn. The fire in the hearth went out hours ago, and starting it again will take flint, tinder, kindling, and time. Your clothes, if you can call them that, are coarse and itchy. The wool itches your skin. Your feet are bare. You are not prepared for this. Outside, roosters crow and a thin, hungry dog prowls near the door. You hear coughing, deep, wet, chronic coughing from the adjoining room. There are no antibiotics in this world, no tissues, no ibuprofen, just bad air and worse water. You try to stand, but your stomach growls violently. Breakfast. Forget it. There's no pantry, no cereal, no refrigerator. Just a wooden shelf with some blackened bread and a jug of something sour that might be milk. You eat because you must, not because you want to. Then the work begins. You're not a guest in this time. You're expected to contribute to till the land, feed the pigs, draw water from the well, scrub clothes by hand with lye soap that burns your skin. You're hungry, exhausted, and dirty within the first hour, and it's only 7 a.m. Welcome to the Middle Ages. You wouldn't last a day. Chapter 2. Hygiene, or the lack thereof. Let's talk about washing. Or rather, the complete lack of it. In your time, you may shower daily. Use scented soap, shampoo, conditioner, lotions, deodorant. Here, there is no running water. No hot water unless you heat it yourself, over a smoky fire in a blackened iron pot. That's happened maybe once a month, if you're lucky. Maybe less. There's a wooden barrel out back where some water collects when it rains, and that's what you'll be using to wash yourself if it's not frozen. Soap is homemade, often harsh. Made from animal fat and ashes, it stings your eyes, cracks your skin, and doesn't smell like lavender. Your teeth, forget brushing. Toothbrushes won't exist for centuries. You chew on twigs. Mouthwash is a concept from the future. Your breath, and everyone else's, smells like rot, onion, and illness. Dental care, not a thing. You'd better hope your fillings hold. Because a toothache here ends with a hammer and a prayer. Your clothes, they're never really clean. You have maybe 2 outfits total. You sleep in what you wear. You reek, they reek, everyone reeks. That's just life. And don't even ask about toilets. Chapter 3. Food that tries to kill you. You may be hungry, but eating here is a gamble. There are no food safety standards. No refrigeration. No sealed packages with expiration dates. Bread can be moldy. Ale might be sour. Water. Don't even think about it unless it's been boiled. Most people drink ale or wheat beer all day because it's safer than the water. And even then, you're not really safe. Meat is a luxury, not a staple. When you get it, it's often salted or smoked to keep it from rotting. Fresh meat is rare and usually comes from a slaughtered family animal, a special occasion, or a communal hunt. Vegetables are root-heavy and bland. Potatoes and tomatoes haven't even reached Europe yet. Spices, only for the rich. You'll try to eat porridge made from barley or oats, maybe some dried peas or beans, and a little cabbage. Everything tastes slightly off, and you can be sure what gave you stomach cramps last time was it the rye bread with ergot fungus, the rancid butter, the rot droppings in the flour. Food is survival, not pleasure. Every bite is a prayer that it won't be your last. Chapter 4. Medicine is guesswork at best. You feel a sore throat coming on. In your world, you'd take a lozenge, rest under warm blankets, sip hot tea. But here, a sore throat is not a minor annoyance, it could mean death. You tell someone about the pain, and they bring you to the village healer. She's old, hunched, her fingers yellowed with years of boiling herbs. Her remedies include ground-up toadstools, leeches, and a poultice of mashed onion and chicken fat. You drink a bitter brew that tastes like the inside of a barn. You're not sure what it is. But your stomach rebels. If the illness doesn't kill you, the cure might. Doctors, if you can find one, are worse. Their knowledge is based on ancient texts and theories about humors of blood, phlegm, yellow bile, black bile, a fever, too much blood, solution, bloodletting. They'll cut your veins or use blood-sucking leeches. Infection. Not understood. Germs haven't been discovered. Antibiotics won't exist for centuries. Surgery. Done without anesthesia. A rusty knife. Cloth to bite. You see people with wounds that never heal, with limbs twisted by untreated breaks, with skin lesions that go unchecked. Children die young. Women die in childbirth. A tooth infection can kill. A cut on your hand can kill. Drinking bad water can kill. Everything can kill. And you. You just have a sore throat. For now. Chapter 5. The daily grind, labor without end. You've never worked this hard in your life. From before dawn to well after dusk, the day is filled with brutal, repetitive, back-breaking labor. There is no weekend, no sick leave, no breaks. You wake in darkness, and before you've fully opened your eyes, you're already behind on chores. First, the animals feeding chickens, slopping pigs, milking cows if you're lucky enough to have one, then gathering water from the well, chopping wood for the fire, starting that same fire in a cold hearth with numb fingers. And if you're a peasant, which you are, everyone is, you're off to the fields. You till the soil with tools barely more advanced than sticks. You haul water by hand. You weed, you sow, you harvest. In summer, the sun bakes your skin. In winter, the frost stiffens your limbs. Your hands crack, your feet bleed. If you're part of a family, everyone works. Children, the elderly, everyone, even toddlers chase geese or carry baskets. Women work constantly, cooking, spinning, weaving, hauling, baking, sewing. Men labor in the fields, repair the roof, mend fences, dig ditches. Your back hurts, your neck aches, and yet the day isn't over. You eat little, you rest less, you sleep like a stone, only to wake up and do it again. Life isn't lived, it's endured. And worst of all, there's no hope of change, no ladder to climb, no freedom. You were born into this, and you will die in it. The world will not remember you. You are part of the soul used and returned. Chapter 6. Justice that won't save you. Something has gone wrong. A neighbor's cow has gone missing, and people are suspicious. Whispers float around the village. Eyes turn toward you, the stranger. You know you're innocent, but that doesn't matter here. The idea of justice in the Middle Ages is not what you're used to. There is no public defender, no fair trial, no right to remain silent. There is suspicion, and there is punishment. The lord of the manor, or a traveling judge, sometimes a priest, decides your fate, and they don't need proof. If you're lucky, your guilt will be proven by ordeal. You might be forced to plunge your hand into boiling water, and then wait 3 days to see if it becomes infected. If it does, you're guilty. If it doesn't, perhaps a miracle, you may go free. But infection is nearly certain. If the case is serious, things are worse. Trial by combat is an option. You'll have to fight someone. Perhaps with clubs. Perhaps with knives. You don't get armor or training. You might be facing a soldier. If you lose, you're guilty. If you win, you're blessed by God, supposedly. And then there's the pillory. Stocks in the village square. Days of exposure to cold, rain, and ridicule. People throw spoiled food, stones, or worse. You're humiliated, hungry, cold. Sometimes people die there, not from punishment, but from the sickness that follows it, guilt or innocence. These are luxuries of another time. Chapter 7. Church, Fear, and Superstition. You thought the church was a place of peace, a sanctuary, a quiet place with candles and hymns. In the Middle Ages, the church is everywhere, but it's not always a comfort. The church owns land. The priest collects tithes, 1/10 of everything you grow, make, or raise. Even if you're starving, you still pay. The priest may be kind or cruel, Sometimes he's the only one in the village who can read, and with that comes power. He delivers sermons in Latin. You don't understand the words, but you fear them. Sin is everywhere. You're told your thoughts might condemn you, your dreams might damn you. You confess, but you're never sure it's enough. Penance might be fasting for days, walking barefoot on stone, or whipping yourself. The fear never leaves. You see signs of belief everywhere, charms nailed to doorways, crosses made of straw, bones worn as protection. Everyone fears demons, witches, the devil himself, a failed harvest, witchcraft, a stillbirth, a curse, a storm, God's wrath. And yet, even amid fear, the church is the center of life. Marriages, funerals, feasts all pass through it. Saints are prayed to for rain, for crops, for healing. Candles are lit. Bells ring. But no matter how devout you are, life doesn't get easier. There is hope, yes, but it comes only after death. Chapter 8. Death is always near. You've survived 8 days in the Middle Ages. 8 days of hunger, cold labor, and fear. You've learned to live with the gnawing in your stomach, the ache in your legs, the constant tension in your chest. But there's something else you've begun to notice, something you can't shake, the presence of death. It's in the hollow faces of children with swollen bellies, in the distant wailing you hear at night when someone slips away, in the empty chair by the hearth. Death is not rare here. It is a neighbor, a constant shadow, always close. You see a man coughing blood and walking home like it's nothing. A woman loses a child in the night and silently buries it before dawn. No one cries loudly. Grief is quiet here because it must be. There is no time for it. And if you get sick, really sick, no one will come to save you. Not because they don't care, but because they can't. There's no hospital, no emergency wagon, no modern mercy. You will lie in the straw, sweating, shaking, and whispering prayers in the dark. Maybe someone will hold your hand, maybe not. Even the animals die quietly. A horse collapses in the field. No one asks why. They just begin digging a hole. You may live for 50 years if you're lucky. More likely, you'll be gone by 30. A scratch, a fever, a bad fall, a single unlucky bite, any one of them can be the end. You thought you'd come here for adventure. But here, adventure is surviving until morning. Chapter 9. You are not alone. This was everyone's life as night falls again. You sit by the small fire you've managed to keep alive with splinters and straw. Your body aches. Your clothes cling to you with the weight of soot and sweat. And yet, you're not alone. The woman next to you has lost 3 children to winter fevers. The old man at the edge of the village hasn't he seen his son in years. He was taken by war or plague. A boy sleeps on a mat by the door with an empty bowl beside him. Everyone is suffering. Everyone is enduring. And still, they carry on. There is a kind of solidarity in misery, a strength in shared hardship. They do not complain because this life is all they know. They sing while working. They pray even when the prayers seem unanswered. They find joy where they can, at a wedding feast, in a shared loaf of bread, in the birth of a lamb, in the warmth of a hand on a cold night. The Middle Ages were not kind, but neither were they devoid of humanity. You see kindness in the mother who gives her child her last spoon of soup, in the friend who helps lift a heavy cartwheel without being asked, in the old stories told by firelight of dragons, saints, ghosts, and impossible miracles. There is comfort in those tales. Hope. Wonder. You wouldn't last a day in the Middle Ages alone. But they didn't either. No one did. They survived together. Chapter 10. Farewell. Middle Ages. You can go home now. You've seen what you came to see. You've walked through the frostbitten fields, felt the smoke sting your lungs, tasted the bitter bread. You've lived briefly in a world where nothing is certain, and everything is harder than you imagined. And now, at last, your time here is drawing to a close. You lie down once more on the straw mat in the dark. It's hard. It smells of old hay ash and life. You feel every bruise, every ache, but you also feel something deeper, a strange peace. You've touched a world most people only read about in books or glimpse in movies. You've felt its weight, its gravity, in the distance. A church bell tolls the midnight hour. Someone nearby sings softly in a language you don't know. The stars are bright overhead, brighter than you've ever seen them. The world is quiet, honest, ancient. And then, a change. The air softens. The straw beneath you becomes lighter. You feel warmth and natural, gentle, comforting, not a fire, something else. It's time to go, time to return to your world. It's soft. Blankets, clean water, light at the flick of a switch. Time to remember how much ease and safety you carry, often without noticing. You close your eyes. You are going home. Chapter 11. What you've brought back with you. You wake in your bed. Soft sheets. The familiar hum of morning light filtering through a curtain. A clock ticking somewhere. Your body feels lighter. Your skin is clean. The air smells of nothing. And yet, something is different. You remember it all. The bread, the bitter cold, the silence, the weight of every hour in a world without comfort. And in that memory, something has changed in you. You look at the water from your faucet and feel grateful. You flick on a light and marvel. You open a refrigerator and see not just food but safety. You walk through your day carrying a quiet respect for the lives before yours, for the millions who endured so you could exist. You understand now. It is not that you wouldn't survive in the Middle Ages because you were weak. It's that they were impossibly strong, and their stories, though mostly lost, live on in you. You are a descendant of survivors, of workers, of dreamers who prayed under candlelight and dared to hope for a better world. You are that better world. Now rest, sleep deep and long. Let the past fade behind you like smoke in a quiet village night. You are safe. You are home. You are free. Chapter 12. Echoes of their footsteps. Even though you're home, lying in a world of warmth and light, a part of you still walks those ancient paths. You remember the sound of wooden wheels on frozen ground, the hiss of wind slipping through a crack in a cottage wall, the creak of ancient boots over muddy stones, the laughter of children chasing chickens in a yard of dust, the quiet murmuring of a mother singing while sewing a tear in a worn tunic. These memories are not your own, and yet they are. The people of that world lived without ever knowing you. They didn't know what electricity was, or space travel, or photography, but they knew pain, and love, and hunger, and joy, and all the things that make us human. The world you live in now was built on their tired backs, shaped by their calloused hands, and softened by their persistent hope. And as you rest, you hear them still, soft echoes, not haunting, but warm. A lullaby carried across time. A reminder that they lived, and so you can. Chapter 13. The quiet strength of forgotten souls. The Middle Ages do not celebrate individual names the way your world does. Most people were never written about. Their stories ended with them. No records, no portraits, no books. But strength doesn't need recognition to be real. It's in the woman who gave birth during a storm, and then helped in the fields the next morning. It's in the man who worked until his hands bled, so his children might eat that night. It's in the child who lit a candle every evening and whispered a prayer no one else would hear. They will never have statues. They won't be in museums, but their strength shaped everything. And now, their quiet legacy lives inside you, not through names, but through memory. You carry a piece of that grit, that endurance. It lingers in your breath as you fall asleep, in your stillness, in your peace. You are not soft. You are softened by their strength. Chapter 14. Sleep. At last, now the journey has ended. You have traveled far, not in distance, but in understanding. You have stood in another time, walked in borrowed shoes, seen through ancient eyes. And now, you rest. The bed holds you gently. The weight of blankets is comforting, not crushing. Your breathing is slow. Your chest rises and falls with the rhythm of safety. The noise of the modern world has faded. The lights behind your eyes are dimming. The old world grows quiet. And as you drift toward sleep, you understand something simple and true. You are lucky. You are alive. and you are resting in a world that once only existed in dreams. So let go. Let the echoes of the past melt into the silence of night. Let your thoughts float, like lanterns on dark water. No more cold. No more fear. Only sleep. And when you wake, you'll still carry the wisdom of 1,000 forgotten yesterdays. But for now, just sleep. Chapter 15. The weight of time. Time flows differently now. In the Middle Ages, time wasn't measured by clocks or digital schedules. It was measured by sun and shadow, by hunger and harvest, by the ringing of a distant bell or the call of a rooster in the dark. It moved slowly, achingly slowly, but every second was felt. You remember that now. How heavy a single day felt when filled with work and cold and silence. How a morning stretched like a lifetime. How a moment of stillness, a bird landing on a wooden fence, the shimmer of frost on a window was a gift, not a pause. Here, back in your world. Time moves quickly, too quickly. You rush, you forget, you look at screens and miss the sky. But now, after your journey, you've begun to feel it again. The shape of a minute, the warmth of an hour, the silence between thoughts. You begin to notice the tick of a clock, not as pressure but as rhythm. Music, a slow song that asks you to breathe deeper. Slower, you've carried back a sense of time, not as an enemy, but as a quiet companion. Chapter 16. What the darkness taught you in that old world. Darkness came early. The sun dipped behind the hills, and within minutes, shadows took the land. Candles were precious. Firewood was rationed. Night was deep and total, and with it came fear of wolves, of bandits, of spirits, of death. You remember sitting near the fire, watching it flicker, listening to the creak of wood, the far-off howl of something wild. You remember how the dark made every sound louder, every thought sharper. The night asked questions you couldn't answer. But it also taught you something. Darkness is not only fear. It is quiet. It is reflection. It is the part of life that lets the light mean something. Without it, you would never see the glow of the embers. You would never feel the comfort of warmth. You would never know how brave you are until you sit in silence and still breathe calmly. Now, in your own world, you turn off the lights and lie still. And there is no fear. Only softness. You've made peace with the dark. Because you've lived through deeper shadows. Chapter 17. The thread that connects us all. You lie still, your body relaxed, your breath slow and steady. And as you hover gently on the edge of sleep, a thought begins to form, soft and glowing, like a thread of gold winding through centuries. You are not separate from the people of that old world. You are them. Their blood runs in your veins. Their stories, though untold, are carved into your bones. You are their future. They are your past. You dream of a child walking through a field of tall wheat, of a mother weaving linen by firelight, of an old man watching stars that looked exactly like the ones above your window now. You see their hands building, sowing, planting, blessing. You see the thread winding forward across wars, across oceans, across time, and gently wrapping around your fingers. You are not just a visitor. You are the continuation. And this world, this soft bed, this easy life, it is their gift to you. So hold it gently. Rest deeply. Live fully. And never forget the hands that carried the thread through the darkest of nights, so you could sleep in peace. Chapter 18. The fire that never went out. In the darkest hours of the Middle Ages, when the wind howled and the sky pressed low over the earth, there was one thing people always returned to: the fire. It wasn't just warmth. It was hope. Every family, no matter how poor, tried to keep a single flame alive through the night, through the winter, through the hunger. They would guard it carefully, feeding it twigs and breath, protecting it from the cold and rain. Losing the fire meant losing light, losing safety, losing the center of their small world. And yet, it always returned, because someone always believed it could be lit again. Now, you have your own fire. It's not made of wood or spark, it's made of memory, of meaning, of understanding. You've carried it through your journey, and even now, as you rest in soft warmth, it burns quietly inside you. Not brightly, not fiercely, but steadily. That's all it ever needed to do. Chapter 19. You were there all along. You may wonder now, was it all a dream? Did you really walk those muddy paths? Feel the straw beneath your body. Taste the bitter soup. Hear the distant bells. See your breath curl in frozen air. Or was it only a story? But here's the truth. It doesn't matter. Because whether in body or mind, you were there. And what you learned there, the patience, the endurance, the strength and stillness is real. You don't need to see the soot on your hands to remember that work. You don't need to feel the ache in your back to know what it means to carry weight. You carry that history now. Not like a burden but like a whisper. A quiet reminder that you are more than you thought. That inside your gentle, modern life is a survivor's heart. That comfort is precious. That stillness is a gift. That warmth is not owed but earned, again and again, by those who came before you. You are no longer just someone who couldn't survive in the Middle Ages. You are someone who understands. Chapter 20. And now, you may sleep at last. The journey is done. The fields have faded. The village is quiet. The night is soft again. The wind no longer bites. The fears are far away now, like smoke blown off into the trees. There is nothing left to fight. Nothing left to flee. Only rest. You lie in your bed. The blankets are warm. Your head is heavy. Your heart is quiet. And the story that carried you through darkness is now carrying you gently into sleep. Not because you escaped, but because you endured. You close your eyes, and for just a moment, you imagine one last thing: a candle in a stone window, a quiet fire in a hearth, and 1,000 souls before you, finally sleeping in peace, just as you are now. They watch over you, not with fear, but with love. Because you remembered them. Because you listened. Because you learned. So now, with all the stories behind you, with the future waiting patiently ahead, with the silence wrapping you like a blanket, you may let go. And sleep. Truly. Deeply. Safely. At last. Chapter 21. The sleep of centuries. You are still sleeping. And in that sleep, your dream deepens not into noise or color, but into stillness. You float through centuries like drifting snow. Time has lost meaning. You're not in a year, or a moment, or a place. You're in the quiet between them. You dream not as yourself, but as all those who came before. You are a monk, copying letters by candlelight. You are a farmer's child, chasing the sun through high grass. You are a nameless girl watching the stars while clutching her only blanket. You are a midwife, a carpenter, a pilgrim, a thief, a singer, a saint. You dream them all. And in that dream, you understand something simple: we are not so different. We all sleep. We all hope. We all carry stories in our breath. The sleep you now feel is not just yours. It belongs to centuries. And it is deep. And it is deserved. Chapter 22. The forgotten door. Somewhere inside your dream, you come to a door. It is not new. The wood is worn smooth by 1,000 hands. There is no key. It opens when you place your palm upon it gently, without force. Beyond it is not a room, or a castle, or a forest. Beyond it is memory. Not memory of your life, but of lives stacked behind you like layers of earth. You feel them: flickers of laughter, of pain, of songs sung into the wind and forgotten. A baker kneading dough in the dark. A boy holding his breath as bells toll in the snow. A girl braiding her sister's hair before a storm. You stand among them, silent, and they do not see you. But they are not alone. Because you are there. And you remember. You step back from the door and close it gently. Not to forget, but to keep it safe. Because now, the memory lives in you. Chapter 23. Morning light. At last. And now, light. Not loud, not bright. Just the soft kind that touches your face before your eyes open. The kind that finds you slowly, like a whisper waking a dream. You breathe in. The air is yours again. No more frost. No more ash. No more aching cold. Just light. You open your eyes, And the room is still modern, kind, familiar. But you are not quite the same. You carry something now, not heavy, not burdensome. Just quiet. Something like a lantern kept inside your chest. You move more slowly. You listen more closely. You feel, with reverence, the softness of your pillow, the ease of a full breath. And you smile. Because you know. You've walked through centuries. You've knelt in the dust of history. You felt what they felt. And you came back. The dream is ending now, not because it's gone but because it's become a part of you. So rise gently. Carry the silence with you. And let the day begin like a blessing. Because it is. Because you are. Chapter 24, The Day That Feels Different. The morning moves, but not like before. You brush your teeth. You pour your tea. You hear the hum of electricity and the soft buzz of distant traffic. Everything is normal and yet, nothing feels quite the same, because now you see what you never notice. The luxury of hot water, the miracle of a quiet refrigerator, the blessing of shoes that fit, floors that don't freeze, walls that don't breathe in the wind. You don't feel guilty, just grateful. Deeply, wordlessly grateful. You glance out the window, and the world outside seems calmer. Not because it changed, but because you have. There's no rush now. No need to run from moment to moment. Because you've walked slowly through a world where time was heavy. And so today, you move with grace. And with reverence. For everything that is. For everything that isn't. And for everyone who never had what you hold. Chapter 25, The Quiet Beneath the Noise. You step outside. The world is alive. People laugh. Cars pass. Leaves whisper overhead. You hear it all, but underneath the sounds, there's something new, quiet. A silence that isn't emptiness. It's space. Space between your thoughts. Room between your breaths. Peace between everything that used to feel too fast. The noise no longer drowns you. Because inside, you are still. Because you've learned how to carry the quiet of old stone churches. Of morning frost and empty fields. Of the hush between medieval prayers. You walk through the present world like someone returning from the mountains, calm, grounded, gentle. You don't need to speak to feel understood. You don't need to explain what happened. You only need to live softly, honestly, thankfully, and others will feel it in your presence. That you have gone somewhere deep and come back changed. Chapter 26, A Stillness You Didn't Know You Needed. There's a new kind of silence in your life now. It's not the absence of sound. It's the presence of peace. You notice it in the smallest places, the way you set your cup down without rush. The way you pause before answering a question. The way your breath no longer tries to outrun the moment. It's strange, this stillness. Not something you looked for. Not something you trained to find. But something that found you anyway. After mud, hunger, cold nights, and the low hum of a life stripped bare. And now, this modern world, once loud, urgent, overwhelming, feels quieter. Not because it changed, but because you carry stillness like a second skin. You've touched discomfort so deeply that comfort no longer feels invisible. You've walked without purpose long enough to know how precious direction truly is. And in that stillness, a new kind of strength takes root. Not noisy. Not flashy. Just solid. Just real. Just yours. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to prove it. You only need to keep breathing like this, with presence. With gratitude. With the calm of someone who has returned from long ago and decided never to rush again. Chapter 27, The Pilgrim's Gift. You never asked to be a traveler through time. And yet you went. And you returned. Now, as you move through your modern life, you notice how the world has been waiting for you to see it again, truly see it. A warm towel. A window that closes tightly. Clean sheets. Fruit in a bowl. Little things that once disappeared in the blur of daily routine now gleam with quiet meaning. They are the pilgrim's gift, sight renewed by hardship. And with that gift, something else awakens inside you. Compassion. Not the loud kind that marches, but the soft kind that listens, that notices, that holds a door open, that sees someone tired and thinks, yes, I know that kind of tired. You may never wear armor or kneel in the dirt again, but you carry the soul of a pilgrim now. And it shows. Chapter 28. The thread remains as days pass. Your memory of the Middle Ages begins to fade. You don't remember every name. You forget the scent of smoke, the weight of old wool, the bite of wind. And that's all right. Because you don't need to remember every detail. You remember what it meant. That survival isn't always glory. That peace is built, not granted. That comfort is a thread passed hand to hand, century to century until it reaches you. And you are not at the end of that thread. You are its keeper. When you speak with kindness, the thread continues. When you slow down, and breathe, and forgive, it tightens. When you rest without guilt, you honor every tired soul who came before you. The thread remains, even when the memory does not. And that is enough. Chapter 29. Nothing is ordinary now, it's night again. You lie in your bed, just like so many nights before. But this time, it's different. Not because the bed has changed, but because you have. You now see how much had to happen for this simple piece to exist. How many winters were endured. How many fires were lit. How many stories were lost so that yours could be told. And so, even now, as your eyes close, you say nothing aloud. But inside, your heart whispers something simple, thank you. To them. To the ones who came before. To the quiet, tired, hopeful people whose names you'll never know. You are here because of them. And nothing is ordinary now. Not sleep. Not silence. Not even the dark. Everything is a miracle. And you are resting inside it. Chapter 30. The final ember. There is a fire still burning inside you. Not roaring. Not wild. Just one ember. One quiet glow. It is the last light from the long journey behind you. The last warmth from the stories whispered through cold stone and muddy boots. It lives inside you now, not as memory, but as a quiet vow to live gently. To see clearly. To never forget the value of warmth, of bread, of stillness. You lie in the dark, and though the room is modern, soft sheets, glowing phone, hum of distant traffic, you feel something older pressing close. Not with fear, but with reverence. The ember doesn't ask for your attention. It simply waits. And glows. You fall asleep watching it flicker behind your eyes. A fire that never truly goes out. Chapter 31. The stone and the feather. In your dream, you hold two things, a stone and a feather. The stone is heavy, cold, worn smooth by centuries. It is the weight of everything you've learned. The truth of suffering, the cost of survival, the pain of hunger, the quiet of loneliness. It grounds you. The feather is light, white, soft as breath. It is the comfort you found. The joy in simplicity. The quiet in your bones. The laughter after hardship. It lifts you. You carry them both. Not one or the other. Because life is both. The stone reminds you that you've seen darkness. The feather reminds you that you're still here, soft, open, alive. As you dream, you feel the balance between them. And you smile. Because now, you understand, to live well, you must hold both. Chapter 32. The last door. There is one last door. It is not made of wood, or stone, or iron. It is made of morning light. You walk toward it slowly, not in fear, but in peace. You know what's on the other side. Not a return to the past. Not a leap into the unknown. But the present. Your real life. But this time, you carry something with you. You carry silence. You carry strength. You carry gentleness earned through struggle. You touch the door, It doesn't creak or resist. It opens like breath. And as you step through it, you don't wake with a jolt. You simply return to yourself, but quieter, kinder, more whole. And on the other side of the door, life is waiting as if it knew you would return, changed and ready. Chapter 33. When you walk again, the world is still here. Same streets, same sky, same voices and emails and laundry baskets. And yet, when you walk now, it's different. There's weight in your step, but not heaviness. More like presence. Like the ground responds to you a little more now, as if it knows what you've been through. You no longer rush to be first. You no longer need the noise to feel alive. You walk through crowds like a mountain walks through mist, calm, steady, and changed. Even when the city is loud, you can hear your own heartbeat. Even when the world is hurried, you still carry the hush of candlelight and rain on old roofs. This is the after. You are living it. And when people look at you now, they may not know why they feel safe around you. But they do. Chapter 34. How you speak now, your voice didn't change, but the way it lands did. You speak slower now, without urgency. You let silence stretch between sentences like open hands. You don't fill the air to avoid discomfort, you let the stillness speak, too. And in your words, there is space for others to breathe. Your laughter feels rounder now, fuller. Not sharp like before. Not a shield. Not a mask. Just joy, quiet and true. You ask fewer questions, but better ones. You interrupt less. You listen more. Because you remember what it's like to not be heard. And you will not be the one to make someone feel small again, not now. Not after everything. Chapter 35. A kind of arrival. There's no banner. No trumpet. No parade. Just a morning. And your breath. And a window full of light. You've arrived. Not at a destination with flags and goals and checklists, but at yourself. You are no longer chasing meaning. You are living inside it. Every cup of tea is a miracle. Every hug is holy. Even the tiredness at the end of the day feels and soft. You no longer dream of escape. You dream of returning again and again to this moment. To this life. To this quiet strength you carry. And when someone asks you how you changed, you don't always know what to say. Because the truth is, you didn't change. You returned. Chapter 37. The new ordinary. You wake up one morning and forget. Forget the weight you once carried. Forget how sharp the wind was. Forget the way your stomach once echoed with emptiness. Life feels ordinary now. You wash the dishes. You check your messages. You get stuck in traffic. And it all feels so simple. But here's the difference. You don't despise the ordinary anymore. You treasure it. Because now, even a warm towel from the dryer feels like a quiet miracle. Even the smell of coffee drifting through the hallway brings a soft smile. You no longer wait for something extraordinary to feel grateful. You carry gratitude like a hidden lantern, always glowing, even in fluorescent light. This is what healing looks like, not a dramatic transformation, but the ability to live an ordinary day and feel quietly, completely alive inside it. Chapter 38. The ghost of who you were. Sometimes they return. The ghosts of your former selves. The version of you that was always tired, always performing. The version that believed worth had to be earned. The version that swallowed emotions like stones and smiled anyway. They appear in mirrors, in old songs, in conversations that tug at the seams. And for a moment, you wonder, am I still them? But then you breathe. You blink. You pause. And you realize you are not them anymore. But you do not hate them either. You survived because of them. They held the line until you were ready to step forward. Now you can look back with kindness, wrap them in a soft memory, and let them go. They don't need to fight anymore. You are safe now. Chapter 39. Quiet legacy. No one may write books about you. No one may tell legends or carve your name in stone. But that's not what legacy is. Your legacy is the child who felt safe enough to cry in your arms. It's the friend who said, "I can breathe when I'm with you." It's the neighbor who felt seen for the first time. The silence you honored instead of rushing to fill. The apology you whispered even when no one was listening. Legacy isn't loud. It's the life you make gentler, simply by showing up with your full, quiet self. You don't have to change the world. You just have to stop adding to its noise. That alone is a kind of miracle. And you are becoming one of the quiet ones who carry light without needing to be noticed. Chapter 40. Smallness. Blessed you used to want to be big, a big presence, big goals, big voice in a loud room. But now you understand the holiness of smallness. The grace of sitting beside someone without needing to fix them. The beauty of folding a blanket with intention. The power of being the quietest one in the circle, and still holding the most peace. You don't need the stage anymore. You don't need to be known. You need to be real. And you are. Chapter 41. Seasons of the soul. There are still cold days. Not of weather, but of spirit. Days when your old fears visit. When restlessness scratches at the door. But now you no longer panic. You know, this too is a season. And seasons are not failures, they are rhythms. You light a candle. You write in your journal. You go for a slow walk. You trust that spring always follows. This is wisdom. Not control. Not perfection. But patience with your own winter. Chapter 42. The way you love now. Your love no longer clings. It no longer tries to fix, or save, or impress. It simply stays. You love with boundaries now, not walls. You say no with kindness. You say yes without fear. And when you love someone, you let them grow, even if it means growing away from you. That's not loss. That's true love, rooted, not possessive. You hold hearts gently now, because you remember how yours once broke from being held too tightly. Chapter 43. When the world rushes, it will try again. To pull you back into the noise. To tempt you with urgency. To make you believe your peace is laziness. Don't fall for it. Let the world rush. Let it spin. You have found your own gravity. You move slower now, but with more power. You act less, but with more clarity. This is not retreat. This is alignment. Chapter 40. For nothing to prove. There comes a moment when you no longer need to be understood. No longer seek approval. No longer shape yourself to fit rooms too small for your spirit. You've outgrown performance. Now you dress for comfort. You speak for truth. You rest without guilt. You don't need to prove your worth. You just live it. Chapter 45. Old paths. New as you return to places that once hurt. Old streets. Old songs. Old habits. But now, you walk through them differently. Not to relive. Not to romanticize. But to redeem. Because your presence now rewrites the story. You are not who you were. And the path feels softer beneath your steps. Chapter 46. You become the light not by shining, but by softening. By listening without fixing. By sitting without judging. By staying when it's uncomfortable. You don't have answers. You don't wear a halo. But people exhale on you because your calm becomes their calm. You are not the sun. You are a candle in a dark hallway. And that's more than enough. Chapter 47. The still joy. There's a joy now that doesn't spike, it hums. It lives in warm laundry. In a good stretch. In a moment of laughter between two people who really see each other. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't chase highs. It's steady. Like a river under the ice. You don't celebrate it loudly. But you feel it deeply. Chapter 48. What you keep you don't carry much anymore. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You've learned to let go of grudges, of proving, of the need to win. Now you carry presence, gentleness, a few true friendships, a sense of humor, and a quiet knowing that none of this is forever. And somehow, that's what makes it beautiful. Chapter 49. Quiet goodbye to who you thought you'd be. There is a version of you, the one you tried to become. Perfect, productive, unshakable. You can feel them, still waiting in some distant hallway of your memory. But you don't go to them anymore. You don't apologize for choosing peace instead of prestige. You no longer mourn the life that would have made you impressive, because this one makes you whole. So, you whisper goodbye. Not with regret, but with love. Chapter 50. The last page which isn't there is no final arrival. No great revelation. No secret ending. Only this. You are here. Breathing. Present. Alive. And maybe, that's enough. Maybe the real miracle wasn't escaping the world, but learning to live gently inside it. And if anyone asks you what this whole story was about, you can say, it was never about becoming someone else. It was about remembering who I was before the noise. And then learning how to walk with that person again in peace. Chapter 51. When you no longer apologize for softness, there was a time when you apologized for crying. For feeling too much. For being tender in a world that praised sharpness. Not anymore. Now you know, softness is not weakness. It is resilience without armor. It is strength that does not need to shout. It is compassion surviving in a loud world. You are done dimming your tenderness. You wear it like morning light, open, honest, warm. Chapter 52. The echo of peace. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't declare itself with fanfare. It arrives quietly, like fog over a still lake. You often don't notice it until something tries to take it away. But now you recognize it. You build your days around it. You protect it without guilt. And when life gets noisy again, you know how to return to breath, to body, to now. Peace lives here. And so do you. Chapter 53. You can hold joy and grief together. Once, you thought healing meant erasing pain. Now you understand, you can laugh with tears in your eyes. You can miss someone and still move forward. You can grieve and still feel the sun on your face. Joy and grief are not enemies, they are siblings. They live in the same house inside you. And you are learning how to let them both stay without asking either to leave. Chapter 54. The kindness you give yourself. Once, your inner voice was cruel. It rushed. It scolded. It never let you rest. But now, you speak to yourself differently. You say, it's okay to rest. It's okay to not know yet. You're doing the best you can. You become your own shelter. Your own friend. Your own safe space. And that changes everything. Chapter 55. You no longer fear stillness. Stillness used to scare you. You filled every silence. You outran your thoughts. Now, stillness is your companion. You sit in it. You walk through it. You welcome it like a familiar melody. Because stillness no longer means loneliness. It means presence. And you've become fluent in that language. Chapter 56. Gentle rebellion. You don't scream in protest. You don't wave flags. You simply live softly in a world that taught you to harden. You rest. You breathe slowly. You care deeply. And that is radical. That is rebellion. To remain kind when cruelty is easier. To stay open when the world expects armor. To live gently and refuse to rush. Chapter 57. Your quiet circle. You don't need many people now. Just a few who see you fully. The ones you can sit in silence with. The ones who don't need you to perform. The ones who laugh with your real laugh and cry when your voice cracks. Your circle got smaller. But it got softer. Truer. Wiser. And in that quiet space, you are fully loved. Chapter 58. The beauty of enough. You once chased more. More achievement. More approval. More answers. Now you honor enough. This breath is enough. This meal. This moment. You're no longer starving for some future version of yourself. You are full not because you have everything, but because you finally see what you already have. And that, too, is wealth. Chapter 59. How you walk through the world now. You don't rush. You don't force. You walk slower now, but more present. More grounded. You notice small things, birds' shadow, the smell of rain, your own steady heartbeat. You move like someone who has nothing to prove and everything to feel. And in that walk, there is quiet power. Chapter 60. You. As you are no more masks. No more trying to be what they need. Just you, raw and real. You with flows and laughter lines. You no longer shrinking to fit. You've returned to the beginning, but you are not the same. Now, you meet yourself not as a project to fix, but as a home to live in. And for the first time, you whisper, I'm glad I stayed. 6-1. You know what nourishes you. You no longer eat what depletes you. You no longer stay where you shrink. You no longer say yes when your body says no. You know now nourishment is not a luxury, it is survival. You give yourself sunlight, slow mornings, true words. You feed your spirit without guilt. You let go of what starved you for too long. You grow not because you chase growth, but because you finally give yourself the soil to root. 6-2. You honor your boundaries. You used to break your own heart just to keep the peace. You confuse self-sacrifice with love. Now you know saying no is an act of care. Choosing yourself is not cruelty. It is clarity. You do not abandon others, but you no longer abandon yourself for them. Your boundaries are not walls. They are doors that open from the inside. 63. You don't need to explain your healing. People may not understand your quiet. Your softness. Your need for space. That's okay. You no longer need to justify rest, or joy, or walking away. You heal in your own way, on your own time, and your own rhythm. Your healing is yours, and that is enough. 64. You trust the seasons within you. You are no longer afraid of winter. You've learned that life moves in seasons, as sometimes blooming, sometimes breaking. You stop expecting eternal summer. You stop blaming yourself for gray skies. Instead, you learn to rest when it's dark. To grow inward. To trust that spring always returns. You are not failing. You are simply between seasons. 65. You are done with proving. You no longer chase being impressive. You don't need to be the smartest, the strongest, the most put together. You just need to be real. Present. Alive. That's enough now. You are not a resume. You are not a performance. You are a person, and you are allowed to just be. 66. You've stopped arguing with reality. You don't resist what is. You respond gently. You don't cling to what was. You release kindly. You don't dread what's ahead. You meet it open. This isn't giving up. It's growing up. You live with what is true, not what you wish were true. And in that acceptance, you find a quiet kind of freedom. 67. You can stay with discomfort. You used to run at the first sign of pain. Now you stay. You breathe. You listen. You sit with the ache. You don't need it to go away right now. Because you've learned discomfort is not the end. Sometimes, it's the beginning. And when you stay, you find the message inside the silence. 68. You are not who you were, and that's beautiful. You used to mourn the old version of yourself. The one who didn't know better. Now you bless them. They got you here. But you don't go back. You don't fit there anymore. You've changed as slowly, honestly, fully. And you don't owe the world your old skin. You are becoming, and that is enough. 69. You can love without losing yourself. You used to disappear in love. Shrink to be held. Bend until you broke. Now you love with your feet on the ground. With your voice intact. With space for both of you to be whole. Love, now, is not about being chosen. It's about choosing with care, with clarity, without vanishing. You stay. And so does yourself. 70. You've come home. Not to a place, not to a person, but to yourself. You've stopped running. You've stopped reaching. You've arrived here now, as you are. You live in your own breath. You walk your own pace. You hold your own hand. And finally, after all this time, you whisper to your soul, we made it.